In the year 2000, we didn't just have to worry about Y2K, we had to worry about the mutant problem. There was a movie that came out in the year 2000 that would change the course of Hollywood for decades to come and my life and career. I'm, of course, talking about the 2000 release of the movie X-Men. This movie had a major impact on me as a writer, as a career, and I honestly wasn't even that big of a fan of X-Men. I'm Trader Bubba, writer-producer in Hollywood. This here's Cousin Emmy, and you are watching Bubba Breaks Sci-Fi.
This baby hits 88 miles per hour. You're gonna see some serious shit.
Whoa. Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream?
So say we all.
Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives.
Engage.
Bubba Breaks Sci-Fi.
Like most people over 40, I was a fan of the X-Men cartoon show from the 90s. I dabbled in the X-Men comic books a little bit, but I was more of a DC fan. And when I heard that they were making an X-Men movie, I thought it was gonna be crap. There was no way they could take all these characters and their colorful costumes and the melodrama and all these interpersonal relationship problems and put it into a movie and make it work without it being silly. You have to remember, superhero movies weren't a thing yet. Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was still 2 years away. And then the trailer dropped.
We're not what you think.
I also remember being in a toy store because my cousin and I collected not only comic books, but action figures. And I was collecting some line of Batman figures at the time. And I remember being there and they had released the action figures fairly early, long before the movie had come out. And on the cards behind the figures were photos of the characters, but also the name of the actors. And I didn't know who any of them were, except for Patrick Stewart, of course. And my personal favorite being, who the heck is Hugh Jackman? I'm not going to sit here and rehash the plot of X-Men. I'm assuming you've seen it, like me, probably a million times. But I do want to get into why this movie is so important and how it affected me as a writer, but also why it comes up in development meetings to this very day. The opening of the X-Men movie is easily one of the most intense, insane openings of an X-Men movie, period. This opening scene is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's setting the grounded realism that we're going to be expecting for the rest of this movie. It's also setting up, obviously, Magneto and his character. And it's not just, Magneto's not going to be a twirly mustache, I just want to rule the world villain. This guy has some very personable motives. And the Magneto-Xavier relationship will come to be easily one of the best hero-villain relationships in all of cinema history. And then from there, we're introduced to Rogue and her superpower. And that's an important take because Rogue is obviously, basically, she's kind of the main character for this first movie. Her and Logan are really the main character. And then we jump right into the government backstory. So already within the first 6.5 minutes, this movie has really been set up. We've been introduced to our villain, our hero, and the conflict that's going to be driving these two forces together. That is a lot of legwork in only 6.5 minutes. I love it. It's on point writing. We're then given our first real glimpse at Professor Xavier and Magneto and their whole relationship. And this is obviously important. Now, the reason that these characters work so well is because of their motives. They're very personable. It's sort of the Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X style on how to handle social problems, and it's so much more interesting and fun to watch than just some two-dimensional flat villain who wants to take over the world, which is kind of what we get in most Marvel movies nowadays. And then on top of that, you've got these amazing actors playing these roles. Back then in 2000, we were so lucky to get Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen playing these parts because these are high-level actors, and the superhero genre wasn't even a genre yet. They were blips on the radar screen, you know, of what was getting made in Hollywood at this time. And seeing Rogue as this sort of nomad character who's, you know, on her way to Alaska for some reason, it really humanizes these characters. Yeah, they've got these amazing abilities, but the story is focused so much on their journey, and it's incredible when you think of the source material versus the movie, how much they honored the source material while still telling a very character-driven, compelling story. And then, of course, 10 minutes into the movie, we're introduced to the character that we've all been waiting for, the fan favorite that is Wolverine. Casting such an unknown actor to play Wolverine was definitely a gamble, especially considering Hugh Jackman is a song and dance man coming from musical theater. But just the overall look of this movie, the grittiness, the realism, it really grounds the movie in the first 10 minutes. This isn't going to be an over-the-top, super comic booky, you know, type of movie. It's a movie about people who are different than the rest of society, are considered outcasts, and they just happen to have these fantastic abilities. Anyone who has ever felt like an outcast in any way, shape, or form can really respond to this movie. And that is what drew such I think, a fantastic response to the first X-Men movie. Really fun going back to watch this now as, you know, Hugh Jackman's first outing as Wolverine. It's fun to see how he's progressed in portraying this character, but he definitely comes off as the, you know, the sort of standoffish, you know, lone wolf type character, but not in such a way that is pushing or being. Basically, he doesn't come off like a dick, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes in the comic books and even the cartoon show, he's such a dick to everybody for no reason. In this movie, they did a really good job of him, again, being that lone wolf character, but not so off-putting that he's immediately scaring Rogue away. This movie also does an incredible job for people that maybe aren't necessarily the biggest fans of X-Men or know the source material, because you really do have to set up every character, their abilities, what they can do and why they do it. And again, this is one of the reasons this movie is so incredible, is they do it in these great short little scenes, and we know immediately what's the driving force behind these characters and what they're willing to do, but also the line that they're not necessarily willing to cross. Now, we see Wolverine kill bad guys left and right in all the movies. In this case, in a simple bar fight, you know, he's going to do what he has to do, but he doesn't cross that line. And that is an important takeaway in the introduction of this character. This is the scene that they actually used in their audition tape. Rogue and Logan in the car driving, and this is probably one of the most important scenes in the movie, because now Rogue's sort of powers and abilities are getting finalized. Oh, anytime she touches somebody, something happens. She doesn't know what, but she just know that she can't touch anyone with skin-to-skin contact. But this is also setting up the relationship between Logan and Rogue, and it's interesting because, you know, he's coming off like a big brother father type. She obviously gets a crush on him throughout the movie, and as an audience, it's not the romanticism of it, it's the just not being alone of it. And there, anybody and everybody, especially who has lived through being a teenager in their 20s, can respond to these moments of, I just want somebody that accepts me and understands me and is willing to go along on the ride with me, right? And that's what the scene is, and it's beautiful. And again, the pacing of all this is so perfect. We're only 17 minutes into the movie, and everything is now set up. This is going to be the scene that basically ends the first act and pushes it into the second act, right? This is the moment where something happens, and now the plot is really kicking off. Obviously, Magneto is after they think Wolverine. For some reason, they don't know. Obviously, it turns out to be Rogue. But this is the moment that kicks off the second act and all the conflict. And we're at 17 minutes of an hour and 45-minute film. Really like an hour and probably 35, not counting the end credits. So, pacing on point. Here's Hugh Jackman without a shirt, just for any female fans watching. Now, X-Men 1 is built on what I like to call moments. And this is why a lot of the newer Marvel movies kind of don't work for me, because they're all built around the Flash, right? The oh my God, let's dangle the keys in front of the audience. Like this shiny thing that we can do with special effects now. And this movie came out right at a time when special effects shots were still, I think, incredibly expensive, and I mean they still are, but we weren't spending the $500 million on movies yet. This movie had a budget of, I want to say it was like 50, 60 million, which is still a lot, especially back then, but it's not the $500 million, you know, epic that they're spending nowadays. So you get your special effects shots in this movie, don't get me wrong, but this movie as a story is built around moments, key moments that really push not only the plot forward, but the character journey. And this is what's missing in a lot of the more modern day action films, and to be honest, a lot of the Marvel movies. This is sort of like a midpoint climax for Rogue. This is sort of the come to Jesus moment that every good action film tends to have, where she has to decide if she's going to go or stay. And this, again, this is the sort of important conclusion, sort of, to the Rogue Logan relationship. This really cements their relationship as sort of being like a brother sister kind of thing, and hanging in there no matter, you know, what happens with this weird X-Men team that they have been introduced to. But Logan is saying, listen, I think we should give these X-Men people a chance. I think it's a safe space for you, and we're gonna try this out, but we're gonna do it together. So it's a fantastic scene, but obviously this is the fun scene because of what happens with Magneto. This is where you get to see, you know, the superpowers really come in, and we're finally starting to get some action and all that fun stuff here. And we are 53 minutes in, so we are pretty much at the halfway point for this movie where things are really kicking off. This video is brought to you by TraderBubba.com, where I've got all sorts of fun new stuff, including caca bacon. You can smell the difference, and that's the caca. Check out the Cousin Emmy page, my wife's favorite, the acai berry supplements. All proceeds do go to the GoFundMe for Cousin Emmy, whose husband was in the hospital recently, just before she's about to go into the hospital and give birth to their firstborn. I'm trying to get 100 people to donate on the GoFundMe, and if you donate, leave a comment on the GoFundMe page, and I'll reach out to you and send you this Cousin Emmy refrigerator magnet. So this is easily one of my favorite scenes in the movie. This is all practical effect. This isn't CGI. Watch as this train is ripped open as a practical effect. They don't do this anymore. This would all be mediocre CG at best, or even worse, maybe AI moving forward. I'm telling you, the perfect pacing of this movie is what sets it apart from the rest. It is a fun, fast, beautiful movie with amazing, wonderfully character-driven moments, fantastic special effects sequences that don't overtake the movie. It really is a bit of filmmaking perfection. You know, it's interesting. I don't cover things like costumes and whatnot, but for the look of the film with these black leather costumes, even in the making of, you can hear Brian's, I think it was Halle Berry doing her costume test or whatever, and she's asking Bryan Singer, like, hey, what do you really think of these costumes? And he was saying, you know, they're very X-Men 1, because they didn't trust the audience to respond to bright yellow spandex. And I love that sort of meta moment in the script. And we're at about an hour and 5 minutes-ish when they arrive at Liberty Island. And this is great because we really get like a full 20 plus minutes of basically finale. And it is a fantastic finale, especially for the time in the first movie and not really having the biggest budget. So this is a scene that was added by studio request. They love the fight scene inside Liberty, the museum, with these two characters so much that the studio said, hey, can we add to it? So they had to go back and add additional fight scenes, which is this alley fight scene here. And I can't explain the feeling of seeing a live action Wolverine, claws out, fighting in a real X-Men movie, and it actually working and not coming off as silly or comic booky, you know, that campiness. And this is easily my favorite moment in the script with him rolling and claws out. Man, that is just intense and awesome. It's insane to see this great fight scene. Hugh Jackman really brought this hard character to life. And this is where you see the team come together. The X-Men are real, they're a team, and this is the poster right here. I mean, it's just a beautiful shot. Wolverine saves the day, and he saves Rogue, ending the journey of their relationship arc. A fantastic movie, and it's 90 minutes. 90 minutes. This movie, is one of the tightest, well-written, best executed in terms of obviously production, but clearly editing. 90 minutes of just pure awesomeness. I can't understate the impact that this movie had on not only the audience, but on me as a writer, because I was not expecting this movie. I was not expecting this X-Men movie based on my experience of not only reading the comic books, but watching the cartoon show. It wasn't just that the movie was so good, and I remember every single viewing of it in the theater. I saw it in the theater, I believe, 3 times. But this movie comes up a lot in conversations about screenwriting because if you look at the movie, it's under 2 hours. It's in between an hour and a half to 2 hours, and it is tight. The pacing is perfect. You take a look at that first act, everything is introduced wonderfully. The characters are introduced perfectly. They're dynamic, everything. The plot is simple, precise, yet provocative. And I get so many scripts and even some, more action oriented scripts that I write that quite frankly get overdeveloped. A lot of people start getting their hands on it. They start pitching all these ideas and you're trying to implement, a little bit of everything to keep everyone happy, especially those paying for it. And your script becomes overdeveloped, diluted. And I always use X-Men 1 as the example to bring the script back. Keep it simple. Let the characters and their journey really push the story more than the action and the spectacle. And that's why X-Men 1 works so incredibly well. And it still holds up incredibly well to this very day. But it wasn't just a movie. They, about a year and a half later, in order to promote X-Men 2 that was going to be coming out, they released X-Men 1.5 on DVD. And this is the part that really cemented a life change for me personally. X-Men 1 came out when I was a junior in high school. It came out the summer before my senior year. And when X-Men 1.5 DVD came out, I was then in college. And I was a playwright. I was an English major, which, if you ever want the most worthless degree ever. But in this X-Men 1.5 DVD, they have the making of special features, and they are no joke, almost 4 hours long. You're talking over twice as long as the actual movie. And the special features on this literally go through every step of the filmmaking process. You feel like you are there and a part of the team that ends up making this movie that is X-Men. I've never seen a special feature where they are part of one of the first department head meetings. So you've got all your department heads sitting around this long table. There's a young Kevin Feige, who's just an associate producer at the time in this meeting. Uh, and I loved every moment of it. I was a playwright. I wanted to do theater. Coming from Minnesota and Minneapolis, there was a large theater presence there, and I was finding the early stages of success as a playwright. Here's the thing: there ain't no money in it, and it was really the special features on the first X-Men movie that really changed everything for me. I moved to California. I had a good first year. My parents supported it as long as I went to a film school. So I went to a 1-year program. And after that, things got pretty rough. And this is a shameless plug for my book right here, The Little Black Book of Hollywood. This tells the story of my hard living in California, some of the craziness I went to. I was actually homeless for a minute. But I'm here. I survived thanks to the help and support of some friends. So check out this book, link in the description. I sold all my DVDs, including my X-Men 1.5 DVD, when things were getting really tight. And after getting back on my feet, I was a manager at probably shouldn't say where. It was a Jamba Juice in Studio City, right next to Universal Studios. And uh, it was in this sort of plaza. We call them strip malls in the Midwest, but they're called plazas out here in California. And included in this plaza was a Starbucks, which back in the day, especially sort of pre-smartphone and internet, everybody would hang out at the Starbucks. Celebrities would come in there all the time. And one of the people I noticed was producer Tom DeSanto. Now, nobody is going to recognize this producer from X-Men 1 and 2, and then later the Transformer movies. But he is so heavily in the special features of X-Men 1.5. I knew immediately who he was, and I introduced myself to him. He came into Jamba Juice on the most random days ever. I was getting back on my feet, and one of the first things I did when I had some disposable income was I went to the Amoeba record store where they sold used DVDs and bought another copy of X-Men 1.5. And after leaving Amoeba, I went straight to work at Jamba Juice. So I had the DVD with me randomly that day when Tom DeSanto walked in with three other guys. And since I was the manager, I said, Tom, this is your lucky day. I'm going to give you and your friends free Jamba Juice. I just happen to have the X-Men 1.5 DVD with me today. I would like you to sign it. And he did. And he gave me a meeting a couple of weeks later. This was when he was filming, I think, Transformers 1 or 2. And he brought with him this really cool X-Men poster that he also signed for me. Amazing guy. Then he hooked me up with a friend of his that was getting into producing. And X-Men 1.5, X-Men movie in general, again, it didn't just change my mind or my life creatively as a writer. It made me want to be a filmmaker. And then cut to a few years later when going through some hard times and getting back on my feet and having to buy a second copy of the DVD, that's the one day that the producer of the movie comes in and I get to meet him. It's interesting how life works. Obviously, a couple of years after X-Men 1, Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi would come out with their Spider-Man and really change the game and the direction of Hollywood forever. This was the launch of superheroes. Marvel was finally making some money after really getting close to bankruptcy almost three times throughout the 90s. I'm curious what your biggest inspiration is. I want you to leave me a comment down below. What's the movie that really just you have to watch at least once a year, and every time you watch it you feel the nostalgia berries, you feel that sense of I can do whatever it is that my dream is because of this movie. Everyone has a movie that has inspired them to do something, and I would love to know what your movie is, so leave that comment down below. Also guys, in the video before this one, I'll put up a graphic of it, is the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. There's a couple of days left to enter that, so take a look. Also, if you're interested in supporting this channel, you can join the YouTube channel members or Patreon. You don't have to do both. YouTube channel members get the discount code to join the Patreon stuff for free. I've got some videos on Patreon that YouTube will never allow me to post. And if you join the YouTube channel memberships, you do get those as well. So special shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much. It's amazing to even have members so early in the channel's career. And thank you to all my subscribers for continuing to support this brand new channel. I haven't had a channel get to over 1,000 subscribers, quite frankly, so fast. Guys, I'm writer, producer, Trader Bubba. Thank you so much. Don't go away just yet. I got another fun video popping up right here. And this is the video that's gonna just blow your mind. And here is a really silly video of me taking the photo for the thumbnail.
That face coming in, come on. Bit of hair. Smashing. Okay. It's coming round now, coming round. Yes. Yes, great. Yes. No. Oh, behave. Okay, you're an animal. An animal. Yes. No, it's not working. You go change. There you go. Can you change it? Can you? Is that okay? Is that all right? Very good.